Hello everyone, welcome to the session of enzymes. Enzymes is like the sun in a solar system where all the metabolic activities are revolving around the sun, where we can see that without learning or without understanding the sun, we cannot learn the solar system. So just like that, enzymes is a topic where we have to learn everything about enzymes, then only we can understand what is the metabolic pathways. Okay, so what you're seeing here, you can see Usain Bolt. He is the fastest man on the planet Earth. And you can see cheetah, which is the fastest land animal on the planet Earth. So you know that the most important characteristic of these two are being fastest. What do you want? You want to be fastest like them, or want to be a slow like a sloth. Every time, most of the time we want to be fastest. So, do you know who makes our lives faster? We know that this is a bowl of sugar. Okay, we can keep this bowl of sugar inside a jar on a shelf for a long time. Nothing will happen to this sugar. But at the same time, now I am going to take this sugar into my mouth. So it's very tasty. Apart from that, what is happening? It is entering into my intestinal system, and this sucrose or this sucrose is getting cut into glucose and fructose. Whereas in the shelf, nothing is happening. But in the intestine, it is cutting into glucose and fructose. Who cut it? It is the enzymes. So, who makes our life faster? It is the enzymes. So, about these enzymes are what we are going to learn now. So, what are enzymes? The enzymes are specialized proteins. They are specialized proteins that can act as biological catalyst. So, if I'm saying that specialized protein, all enzymes are proteins, no. There are few exceptions where they are not proteins. So, that is, they are called as ribozyme. The name itself is telling you what are they. That is, ribo stands for RNA, ribonucleic acid, that can act as enzymes. So they are called as ribozyme. Which are the examples of these ribozymes? The classical example of ribozyme is a ribosome. What is there in ribosome? The 28S rRNA of the ribosome, which has an enzyme activity called as peptidyl transferase, which is involved in the peptide bond synthesis. So this is a ribozyme. So this is one example. The second example where they are not proteins is the small nuclear RNA, which is involved in the splicing of exons. Then the third example is group 2 introns, which is also involved in the splicing of exons. Fine. Then one more example is ribonuclease P, which is involved in the post-transcriptional modification. PTMS, post-transcriptional modification of tRNA. Now, what about these two? They are post-transcriptional modification of mRNA. So, these are examples of ribozyme where enzymes are not proteins. Just a few words about its history. In 1850, Louis Pasteur found out that sugar can be converted to alcohol. And this process, we all know the name of this process, it is called fermentation. And there is some vitalism in this process. So this vitalism, he named it as ferments, but the name enzymes was not put forward that time. So he called it as ferments. Okay. In 1877, Frederick W. Kuhn, he coined the word enzymes. It was derived from a Greek word enzymos. And what's the meaning of this word enzymos? It is leavened. Then in 1897, The Edward Bishner, he's the first one who made a cell-free extract or made a isolate of this enzyme where it is called as a cell-free yeast extract. The cell-free yeast extract is actually an enzyme. So it is by Edward Bishner. So this is a few things about the history where you can see all these three scientists which I have mentioned here. Now going to the types of enzymes. Basically, the enzymes are of two types. Number one is simple enzyme. Simple enzyme means it has only protein portion. Now, the protein portion of the enzyme, we call it as apoenzyme. Fine? Apoenzyme. Now, the complex enzyme means the name itself is saying that apart from the protein part, which is called apoenzyme, there is a non-protein part also. So, this non-protein part, usually we give two names for this non-protein part depending upon what is its chemical property. That is, they are coenzyme or a cofactor. So, what is a coenzyme and what is a cofactor? So, first, before going to the coenzyme and cofactor, we will just learn what are the properties of enzymes. The properties of enzymes are, I've told you, most of the enzymes are proteins. So, whatever is a property of the protein is a property of the enzymes as well. Fine. For every protein, there is a fixed concentration of a percentage of nitrogen. What is it? 16 percentage by weight of nitrogen, every protein. So similarly, in enzyme also, the 16 percentage by weight is nitrogen. So that is why we have concluded that enzymes are proteins. And then heat labile. As proteins are heat labile, enzymes are also heat labile. Then precipitated by protein precipitating agent. Of course, because they are proteins, so whatever precipitated protein will precipitate the enzymes as well. So that these are the properties of enzymes. Now we are going to what are coenzymes. What are coenzymes? Basically, they are the non-protein part. So first we learn what is a coenzyme. That is, the coenzymes are first and foremost, it is a non-protein part. Now this non-protein chemical component is organic. It's an organic molecule, or if this non-protein part is an organic molecule, we call the name coenzyme. So, what are the properties of coenzyme? Number one, unlike protein part, they are heat stable. So that is it. Then as usual, the same thing that we have already learned, that is they are low molecular weight organic molecule. Then they are considered, usually these coenzymes are considered as co-substrates or second substrates. Most of the coenzymes or most of these organic molecules that can act as non-protein part, they are called as coenzymes, and most of them are B complex vitamins. Okay, that is a general thing. Now, if I'm saying B complex vitamin, which are the B complex vitamins that can act as coenzymes? That is what we are going to learn now. So here it's a big chart of all the vitamins that act as coenzyme. Now you feel it's a bit difficult, but once the metabolism and vitamins is over, or you have already learned it, then this will not be a big task for you. It is very easy for you. So once first, if you are learning this, you may feel a bit difficult, but please be calm. Calm your mind and have a positive thought that you will be able to learn it, because it's very easy once the metabolism is over for you. First is thymine. The thymine, the active form is thymine pyrophosphate, which is also called as TPP. The reaction involved in thymine is usually oxidative decarboxylation. Then the second one is trans-ketolase. This oxidative decarboxylation we learn more in the classification of enzyme. Riboflavin. The active form is flavin. This is vitamin B2. Thymine is vitamin B1. Okay, riboflavin is flavin adenine dinucleotide, which is FAD, or another form is FMN. So they are usually involved in oxidative decarboxylation and redox reaction. Redox reaction, especially the FMN, is involved in the complex one of electron transport chain where FMN is required. Then niacin. In the case of niacin, it is first we know it is vitamin B3. The active form are NAD plus and NADP plus. NAD is nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide and nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate, an extra phosphate is there. So they are also involved in oxidative decarboxylation, NAD especially, and various other oxidation reduction reactions like dehydrogenases. Okay. Now, pantothenic acid, it is vitamin B5. It is present in coenzyme A. It is involved in the transfer of acyl group. Then comes pyridoxine or B6. The active form is pyridoxal phosphate. The short form we write PLP. It is involved in transamination. We will be learning this in amino acid metabolism. The second is transsulfuration, which we learn in sulfur containing amino acid metabolism. Okay, then folic acid, it is B9. The active form is tetrahydrofolate or THFA, tetrahydrofolate. It is involved in the one carbon transfer. Then cobalamin. Cobalamin is B12. There are two active forms here, methyl B12 and adenosyl B12. So methyl B12 is required for the enzyme homocysteine, methyl transferase. Then adenosyl B12 is required for methyl malonyl coenzyme A mutase. So these reactions and all we'll learn later also. Lipoweight is not actually a vitamin, but it is almost have the properties of vitamin where we have to take it through the diet, etc. There is no special name for active form, but we usually call it as lipomide, where it exists in two forms, oxidized and the reduced form. Okay, now this lipoweight in the form of lipomide is required in the oxidative decarboxylation. Then ascorbic acid, the active form is ascorbate. It is vitamin C. It is involved in various hydroxylation reactions. Okay. So these are all about the coenzymes. Now going to the cofactor. Cofactor, the definition, first we know that it is a non-protein chemical component of complex enzyme which are inorganic in nature. Okay. Now most of the this cofactor are minerals. So unlike coenzymes, we say that vitamins. Here it is not vitamins, it is minerals. Okay. These minerals which act as cofactor can be classified into two, metalloenzymes and metal activated enzyme. What are metalloenzyme? I will say a simple example from my life. Like me and my husband, we were classmates, and after completing our MBBS, we were in hunt of a PG. So just like you, we were also a PG aspirant. We were sitting together and learning. So I will consider my husband or he will consider myself as a metal, always be an integral part of each other. So we were always together so that I can study only if he is with me and he can study only if I am with him. Okay, like that, it was like a mutual symbiosis where only if the metal is there, for me, he was a metal and for him, I was a metal. Okay, so only if the metal is an integral part of this enzyme will act. So such kind of enzymes are called as metalloenzyme, where metal is tightly integrated to the protein part. What is the protein part called as? The apoenzyme. Example is the copper. in tyrosinase. Zinc, Zn2 plus, the zinc in carbonic anhydrase and carboxypeptidase. Okay, so that is what is called as metalloenzyme. Metal activated enzyme, I'll say a simple example. You just think about a class, a first standard or a LKG or a small classes where the teacher is the metal there. If the teacher is in the class, the students will sit in their place and they will be studying. Once the teacher is out of the class, they will be in their own world where they will move about in the class. Even if the teacher is there, it's like that, but at least some discipline will be there in the class. So when the metal is around that enzyme, then this enzyme will act. If the metal is not with the enzyme or around that enzyme, this enzyme will not act. That is called metal activated enzyme. So in this case, the metal is not tightly integrated, and the presence of this metal is required for the enzyme activity, for the enzyme to act. For example, calcium is required for the activity of lipase. This is one example. Okay, so these are called as metal activated enzyme. Now what is prosthetic group? Prosthetic group is not a different thing. It can be a coenzyme or a cofactor which is tightly integrated to the apoenzyme, or we'll just say to the enzyme. So in the case of cofactor, we know that this we have classified it under metalloenzyme. Likewise, there are some B complex vitamins also which can act as a coenzyme, but apart from being the acting as a coenzyme, it is a part of that enzyme itself. Then we call it as a prosthetic group. Okay. Now we have learned about what is simple enzyme, complex enzyme, what are these non-protein part, etc. Now coming to what is called as a holoenzyme. It is not a different enzyme. Holoenzyme is nothing but the apoenzyme. If I write apoenzyme, is it clear? It is the protein part, right? Apoenzyme plus the non-protein part. Or in other words, the holoenzyme is a completed form of complex enzyme where both these are together. Now, this non-protein part can be a coenzyme or a cofactor. So, apoenzyme plus coenzyme or cofactor is called as a holoenzyme. Okay, so we have learned various coenzymes. We have not learned the examples of cofactors which can act as the non-protein part. So we will give some, I'll give you some examples. And this is why minerals are important for our body also. So zinc is very important for our body because whatever I have given in red letters, it's the most important thing that you have to learn. One is carbonic anhydrase. You know, carbonic anhydrase is required in the transport of carbon dioxide. So this carbonic anhydrase enzyme, if it has to function, zinc should be there. Okay, so it is important for our body. Carboxypeptidase is required for digestion of proteins, specifically proteins. Okay, so protein digestion will not take place if there is no zinc. Alcohol dehydrogenase. Alcohol dehydrogenase is the enzyme which converts alcohol to aldehyde. This enzyme is involved in the fission. One example, there are lots of other alcohol converted to this corresponding aldehyde. One example I will say is that in the fission, zinc is required where retinol is converted to retinal. For this conversion, it's an alcohol dehydrogenase is required, and this is required for fission. So for proper fission, zinc is required. Alkaline phosphatase, no specific a particular enzyme we cannot say. It is just like removal of phosphate group in alkaline medium. ALA dehydratase is important because it is important in the synthesis of heme. Okay. Then adenosine deaminase is an enzyme in the purine catabolism. Purine catabolism. Then this is very, very important. Superoxide dismutase, especially cytosolic superoxide dismutase. It is a free radical scavenger. So zinc is actually a antioxidant, or it is helping in a free radical scavenging. Then lactate dehydrogenase, it is important for anaerobic glycolysis. Anaerobic glycolysis. So in all these way, zinc is required. Zinc is very important for our body. Then magnesium. Magnesium, you just think like this. It is always involving in the transfer of phosphate. So kinase, we know it is a transfer of phosphate. Phosphatases is involved something related to transfer of phosphate. Mutase also, some reactions of mutase we will be seeing in the classification of enzyme where transfer of phosphate is required. So they all require magnesium. Then enolase, that is the only thing that you have to learn. Apart from that, the rest you just learn transfer of phosphate. Then iron. Iron is actually required in two forms, either in a heme form or a non-heme form. What is heme iron? We learn along with hemoglobin metabolism, heme synthesis and all. Here I am not explaining. Just remember, iron can be seen in heme or non-heme form. In a heme form, iron is required in the complex 3 and 4 of electron transport chain in the various cytochromes. Then nitric oxide synthase is important in the synthesis of nitric oxide. Nitric oxide has lots of biological activities in our body. Then peroxidase and catalase, both these are free radical scavengers. That is important. So apart from that, one more I will add here. Tryptophan dioxygenase. This is also an enzyme that require heme acids non-protein pot. Then non-heme iron you can find in complex 1 and 2 of electron transport chain. In this complex 1 and 2, this iron is seen as iron sulfur complex, which we'll learn in the electron transport chain. Now manganese. Manganese is almost same like magnesium, where kinase and phosphatase we have already learned. Apart from that, you just learn arginase, ribonucleotide reductase. See this mitochondrial SOD. Mitochondrial SOD require manganese. So the M is common for both. Molybdenum. Molybdenum, this what I've given in red is important. Xanthine oxidase. Xanthine oxidase is an enzyme for purine catabolism where the end product is uric acid. Okay, so if there is molybdenum deficiency, there is deficiency of xanthine oxidase which result in hypouricemia. Okay, then potassium, it is very not so important, but it the name itself helps you to learn. Pyruvate and potassium, P is common to both. That way you can learn. Then sodium potassium ATPase, the name itself is having potassium, so potassium is important there. Then copper, it's very, very important. This I will give a very important place, tyrosinase. Tyrosinase is an enzyme required for melanin synthesis. So tyrosinase deficiency thereby causes hypopigmentation. So copper deficiency can lead to hypopigmentation. This is the reason. Then this is required for energy production. So every minerals and vitamins are required for energy production. Lysyl oxidase. Lysyl oxidase is one enzyme that is required for the collagen synthesis. So if there is a deficiency of copper, one I've told you, hypopigmentation. What is the second manifestation? Because it causes collagen defect and it can lead to bleeding manifestation. Okay, so then comes the nickel. It's not so important. One enzyme is urease enzyme. It's actually not seen in our body, so it is not so important. Then another one is calcium. Calcium, lecithinase and lipase these are the two enzymes that require calcium. Now lastly, selenium. It's a previous year question. Selenium is required for various enzymes, especially 4 enzymes. where the fourth one is not actually an enzyme, it is a protein which we call it as selenoprotein P. So what are the enzymes? One is glutathione peroxidase, which is a very important free radical scavenger. Then thioredoxin reductase. Then deiodinase, it is important in the synthesis of thyroid hormone. That is why selenium deficiency can lead to hypothyroidism. And selenoprotein P. So these are the examples where selenium is required. And why selenium is an antioxidant? Because selenium is required for the enzyme glutathione peroxidase, which is a free radical scavenger. So this is how selenium is important in our body. So to summarize, what we have learned is the enzymes. What is its definition? We have learned the types of enzymes, simple and complex enzymes. And we have learned what is a non-protein part of a complex enzyme. There are either coenzyme or cofactor. What is a coenzyme? It's an organic molecule. Cofactor is an inorganic molecule. Mostly they are metals. And we have seen the examples of coenzymes. Most of them are vitamins that act as a coenzymes. Then cofactor, most of them are minerals, and which are the enzymes where minerals are important. I just want to conclude with a positive note like this. If you get tired, learn to rest, not to quit. As long as you're not quitting, you're not going to fail. If you quit, what's going to happen? The person who's behind you is taking your chance. Never anybody let's do that for you, because if you quit, who is losing is you and your family. So it should never happen. As long as you are not quitting, you are not going to fail. So let the success be yours always. Thank you.